Do you think you truly know the meaning of fear? Let's go back in time to the 1980s. The world lived in terror of one man. He wasn't just a boxer wearing gloves. He was a destructive force of nature, Mike Tyson. Imagine you are a professional boxer. You've spent your life training, and then you find yourself in the tunnel walking towards the ring. You hear the crowd screaming his name as if they are summoning a demon. You know, and the whole world knows, that this man doesn't want to win on points. He wants to break your bones and end your career. But there is a secret Tyson buried for decades, a secret that changes everything. What if I told you that this monster who terrified the planet hit his opponents with such savagery, not because he hated them, but because he was more terrified he served them? Today, we dive into the deepest psychological journey in sports history. How did a cowardly child turn into the mean-zero most dangerous man in the world, then fall to rock bottom, only to return today as a wise philosopher? Speaking of peace, this is not a story about boxing. This is a story about a human's war against himself. Let's start from the bottom, the streets of Brownsville, Brooklyn, where only the strongest survive. In those streets, there was no Mike Tyson, the champion. There was only a small, chubby kid with a lisp, wearing thick glasses. He was an easy target. He was beaten and robbed almost every day. Mike lived in constant terror. The only refuge he found wasn't human, but pigeons. He felt safe only on the roof of his building with his birds. But the moment that made history didn't happen in a training gym, but on that roof, when an older bully came, stole his favorite bird, and in cold blood, ripped its head off right in front of Mike's eyes. In that second, the scared child died. And something else was born. Mike snapped. He attacked the boy and beat him with a savagery he didn't know he possessed. Here he discovered the first lesson. Violence is the only language this world respects. After a series of crimes and juvenile detention centers, Mike landed in the hands of a man who would change the course of his life forever. Cus D'Amato. Cus was no ordinary trainer. He was a psychologist disguised as a boxing coach. Cus looked into the eyes of that troubled teenager, and he didn't just see muscle. He saw a volcano of fear and rage. Cus realized something brilliant. Fear is the most powerful fuel on Earth if you know how to ignite it. Cus began a systematic brainwashing process. He would sit with Mike every night after training, in a dark room, whispering in a calm voice, "You are not a normal human. You are the god of war. Your opponents are nothing. They are just food for you." He planted in his mind the idea that he was invincible. To complete the weapon, he taught him the peekaboo style, a strange style that relies on constant head movement, like a pendulum, making the target impossible to hit. Imagine trying to punch a ghost, and the moment you miss, the ghost appears from nowhere to hit you with the force of a truck. And so, at age 20, Mike Tyson ascended to the throne of the world as the youngest heavyweight champion in history. He finished his fights in mere seconds. The world saw him as a hero, but Mike saw himself in the mirror and said, "I'm just a scared kid wearing a monster mask." As in every Greek tragedy, after the legendary rise comes the thunderous fall. The death of Cus D'Amato was the beginning of the end. The father and mentor died, and the beast was left alone with immense wealth and hypocritical people who cared only for his money. Discipline began to vanish. Parties, women, drugs, and a false sense of divinity. Then came the shock in Tokyo in 1990 against an unknown boxer named Buster Douglas. Tyson entered the ring arrogant, far from his best shape, and for the first time, the world saw blood flowing from the face of Iron Mike. When Tyson fell by knockout, he wasn't looking to get up. He was crawling on the floor in humiliation, searching for his mouthpiece. The legend fell. From there, everything spiraled downwards at lightning speed. Rape charges, 3 years in prison, A return full of anger, leading up to that infamous night against Evander Holyfield. When Tyson felt helpless in the ring, when his punches didn't work, he reverted to his primal instinct. He bit off the earrings of his opponent in front of millions of viewers. In that moment, he transformed from a beloved hero into an outcast monster. He became the world's laughingstock. He lost his money, lost his reputation, and almost lost his mind. But the story didn't end in the bottom of a prison or rehab clinics. Here lies the greatness of this journey. Tyson realized that the real enemy wasn't his opponents in the ring, but the inflated ego inside him. Iron Mike had to die so Mike the Human could live. He began a journey of self-discovery. He converted to Islam in prison, read philosophy, went through deep therapeutic experiences to confront childhood traumas. He admitted to the world with full vulnerability. Oh, I am not a monster. I am a broken human trying to heal. This admission of weakness is what made him stronger than ever. Today we see him on his podcast crying, laughing, and offering wisdom about life as if he were a philosopher who lived 1,000 years. Yet, so we don't forget who he is, when he decided to return to fight Jake Paul at the age of 58. Everyone asked him, why? Is it the money? His answer was a final lesson. I'm not coming back because I want to kill. I'm coming back because I am a warrior. A warrior doesn't retire. He just learns how to control his sword. Mike Tyson's story teaches us that the monsters inside us never die, but we can tame them. True strength is not in knocking others down, but in getting up every time life knocks you down. And perhaps, just perhaps, that is the reason he loved pigeons all these years. Because a pigeon, no matter how far it flies, always knows that's the way back home.